You're listening to the Loose Screws podcast. It's about Elite Dangerous, apparently.
Hey guys, it is April the 16th, 2020. It is later in the evening than what I had planned because of work. Yay, work. But this is Loose Screws. I am your host, Ty Worsham, and I am tired as hell of this virus shit because it is making me work more than I ever even imagined possible. That's not true, but I'm still working a hell of a lot more than I ever intended. And I know that my co-pilot, Kaizen, is also working a hell of a lot more than he normally does. So
yeah, I'm when we get done with this, I've got an hour or two more to play, but then I've got to get up at 2 a.m. and go to drive to Connecticut. So I got that to look forward to.
Jeez. So let's start with an announcement. This Sunday, we, and I say we, are going to be doing a really super duper cool roundtable event. We're calling it the Low Sodium Elite Super Friends. And again, the name will probably change because I've met us. We're going to sit down with the Burr Pit, Down to Earth, Astronomy, Commander Plater, Wotherspoon,
Alec Turner.
Thank you, Alec Turner. My brain fart there. But we're going to have a great big sit down with everybody this Sunday, the 19th at 3 p.m. UTC. And I put it in UTC because everybody should use UTC, either that or Texas time, one of the two. Time should be time. That's all I'm saying. So, but we're gonna be talking about a bunch of different things, and probably the main thing we're going to be discussing is fleet carriers and the salt that's been surrounding them, and why people are hating on everything that is cool right now, and we don't understand it. So,
this is the first I'm hearing of this. There's salt.
I mean, it's not to say that there aren't issues with fleet carriers, because there are, but they're really fucking cool. And I'm tired of hearing all the negativity surrounding them. But anyway. So, the next thing I want to discuss before we get to the discussion topic real quick is I want to give us a breakdown of the Distant Screws Expedition. Now, the Distant Screws Expedition ends on April the 28th. So we got about 2 weeks left, guys. And a lot of us have already finished the expedition and made it back. Some of us decided to quit early and we came back. Some of us decided to go way off the freaking map and go all the way out to Beagle and do some crazy things out there. But we've had quite a time. So there's been 50,161 jumps made so far for 3.7 million light years traveled. Excuse me, 271,478 celestial bodies scanned, 7,211 celestial bodies mapped, 225,128 tons of fuel. Man, that seems low for the amount of jumps we've made. It just seems, like our ship's just really efficient. Is that what's happening?
I think there's a whole lot of neutron boosting going on there.
That's a good point. 44,436 probes have been used. 6 commanders have self-destructed, and there are 25 dead commanders out there. So, yeah, we've done some stuff. This has been a lot of fun. I actually came back early. A lot of y'all know, because I had to address the next topic is that our minor faction. A lot of y'all don't know, but the Loose Screws network is live in the Ross 310 system. So to begin with, I've kind of picked out a Xbox squad commander And we already have a PlayStation 4 squad commander, but we'll be announcing everything on that end pretty soon. But I haven't closed it out yet. So if there's an Xbox person out there who is interested, please hit me up. I am still looking for someone who is a master of the BGS system that wants to run our faction pretty much unfettered by anybody by me or by anyone else. Currently, our little network is at 28% in Mori Port, and the standing order is to run missions for the Loose Screws network for Mori Port. Keep in mind, if you turn in bounties or exploration data or make trades there, you are helping the United Ross 310 Progressive Party, and no one wants to help progressive parties. So that's what we need to do. So we need to work on that. New to Discord this week, we have Boss Mustang, Squirrely Pez, DP Grr, Kinklesaurus Rex, which, by the way, I believe is our first dinosaur. So just something to keep in mind. And Masip 4000, welcome to the group. Also, that has joined our Discord is the new community manager, Mr. Tim Smith. Welcome, sir. And we also have a legend at Frontier join us, Dr. K. So glad to have you with us. And I think that covers everybody. I talked with Dr. K for a little bit, and it was really cool, some of the things that we spoke of, and it was a little eye-opening on a few things. So it was you can actually see some of it in the general chat if you scroll up. It was a very cool little conversation that you had, and then a couple things that we spoke about. But so glad to have more Frontier people in our Discord.
Yeah, man.
So I want to go through TIE Spies real quick because I always like doing this. So last week I asked you guys to show me the discovery that you're most proud of and why. So Teflon 12 posted a couple of pics of this planet that looks like a watermelon. Like you land, it looks like when you land, it looks like you land inside of a watermelon. Part of it's green, part of it's red. And I really love these multi-tone planets. It's super cool. Big Daddy GXX55 posted a really awesome picture of an ELW. Super cool. Mooing posted a picture of two binary Earth-like worlds that are actually in orbit of each other. So they're kind of moons of each other. Very cool. And NHO JBG posted a very cool picture of, I believe that's a dolphin with a sunrise over a water world. I'm not going to say that there's really a winner here because all of these are discoveries. I don't think I've ever seen two Earth-like worlds orbit each other. That's super cool.
You didn't read out everybody's submission. I also posted the thing that I found that I treasured.
Nope. Rabbit does not count as a discovery.
I discovered him. I don't think he's ever been seen before in his wife's pink thong doing the I'm a Little Teapot dance. And if you have proof that he has been seen before doing that, because I was the first to see it, I discovered it. So I feel like it's a valid discovery, and I treasure it.
I'm going to let you hang on to that, buddy. You hang on to that all the hell you want. So, for this week, this is what I want to see. I want to see your paint jobs. Now, don't just take a picture of your ship like in the space station somewhere. Take a cool picture of your ship somewhere in front of something neat, but make sure you can see your paint job. We want to see how messed up they are, how scratched up they are, etc. I think it'd be cool to see. My paint when I landed is actually at 0%. I will show my paint because I have not repaired it. So I'll be happy to show my paint off. I think that's really cool to do that. But yeah, I want to see your paint jobs. Show me your paints. And if you want to say
correctly, it's Paintworks.
We're going to talk about that. Well, since you brought it up, we'll just dive right into it. Paintworks versus everything else in the game. It's labeled paint job. Now, the reason why I think this is important, I think it's a key thing that, as weird as it sounds, I think that Paintworks is a key sign to something that they're working on in the future.
I think it's a key sign that somebody mislabeled a thing.
See, I think that they're going to divide up Paintworks and Paint Jobs into two different things. And I don't quite know what I mean by that, except for I think it's possible that we see some sort of custom thing that they're kind of working on. Maybe you can do some minor paint changes to where you buy a paint job and maybe you combine a couple of paint jobs into a Paintworks kind of thing.
This reminds me of the time that we were on a car trip. It was me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. And at one point, my sister got all excited because she was looking out the window and saw cows that appeared to be sort of laying down.
Right.
And she had never seen this before. And she excitedly said to my dad, "Hey, what does it mean when they lay down like that?" And my dad answered, "It means they're tired." So when I see Paintworks, I jump to the conclusion that I think someone mislabeled the thing. And you jump to the conclusion that there's a new super secret program that involves paints, but it's not paint jobs. Time will tell, my friend. Time will tell.
It will tell. And so the biggest thing for me there, the reason why is because they spent so much time on other things for these fleet carriers to get them to be right. It just seems to me that for them to have something labeled Paintworks instead of paint job, like it's labeled everywhere else in the game, it doesn't seem like they just messed up. It seems like there's an intentional thing there.
There's 10 million things there, and they got many, many, many of them right. But there's a few that they got wrong, and that's why they have betas.
You're probably right. I mean, I'm probably just, wishful thinking, but
I just can't. I'm trying to conceptualize. If you can give me a use case, if you can give me an explanation for a thing they can do with your paint job that's different than your paint job, I am all ears.
What if you had a Paintworks studio where you could put your decals pretty much wherever the hell you wanted?
Oh, you mean a custom paint job?
I don't know if they're going to let you completely customize the paint job, because then they wouldn't be able to sell paint jobs. But if they were to do something like you could combine different paint jobs, like say paint job like the black and the white, and then combine a blue, and you could select parts of the ship that you wanted to be from different paint jobs that you owned.
Ah, so you mean like combined paint jobs?
Yes. And then you could also maybe move decals to different spots.
That would be Decal Works.
No, that's going to be all Paintworks, because I don't know if you know this, your decals are actually paint, because when you lose a lot of paint, you some of your decals actually get scratched up. Like my Triple Elite decal is actually completely scratched off my ship right now. You can see just barely the outline of where it was. So,
I'm just waiting for Bobblehead Works.
Oh shit! I'm done with this. So, we're just going to dive right into it, to the whole fleet carrier thing, because what was the date on this? Was this this is just yesterday? It's 6:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And in Texas time, the real time zone. They posted a great big, well, not great big, but they posted a bunch of fleet carrier changes that look really amazing. Now, what's funny about this, and we'll kind of go into bigger detail on some of these points on Sunday, but what's funny about this is that me, Kai, and Trax were pretty much right on a lot of these. So we're going to break. We are going to break down the bullet points real quick. So the changes coming this week. The upkeep costs for all additional services will be reduced by 80 to 90%. So if your upkeep cost is 100 million, you're looking at 10 to 20 million upkeep cost. That's about where we thought the sweet spot would be. I think you were saying 30 mil. I think I was saying 10 to 15 mil.
No, I said that it needs to be for fully loaded. 25 mil is about right. I said I would, like, if they went as high as 30 mil, I could live with it. But 25 mil for fully loaded was right.
10-4. Okay. Yeah, the upkeep cost reduction feels really good. I feel like they got the numbers right. I feel like that they kind of are. It's kind of cool that they're just kind of responding to what people are wanting instead of just everybody kind of just griping about things, Yeah. So the next thing is that core running costs will be reduced by 50%. So what is the core running cost? Is that like the
core upkeep cost was 10 million. Now it'll be 5 million.
Wow. Okay.
The weekly
that
cost.
was the base. I got you. So yeah.
So when they break that down, they say in the next line, fleet carriers represent a big investment, yada, yada, yada. The total running cost for a fleet carrier with all services active will be reduced by a total of 85.5%. So doing the math real quick, the highest you could get it to before was we're going to round up to 147 million. It was like 146 and change. Okay. So if you take that and then you times it by 0.145, because if it's 85.5% less, that means it's 14.5% of that, which means that now your fully loaded weekly upkeep cost with a fleet carrier will be 21.315 million per week with an asterisk. And that asterisk is it's going to be slightly higher because, as you'll read later down the line, they're adding new services. Those services will also have a cost. But if a fully loaded fleet carrier is 21.315 as of right now, and you add Universal Cartographics and you take out several things that you're not going to use, you're still under 20 million a week. That is the sweet spot. They nailed it. Perfect. Yeah. Bravo. Take a bow.
You think that people will still be upset about it, to where people will still be whining about having an upkeep cost at all?
Oh, this is the internet. There would be no point to the internet without whining. But the fact of the matter is if you whine without purpose, then that makes you easily marginalized and disregarded, in my opinion.
Yeah. Let's see here. The debt threshold has been updated in line with the upkeep changes. This means with all services installed, a carrier can go 10 weeks, which is more than twice what it was because it was at 4.
It really wasn't. It was at 3. It's 3 times what it was. I don't know why they put up from 4, because anyone that can do math knows that it's up from 3 because it was at 3 before. So it's really 3 times what it was, slightly more than 3 times what it was.
I did not. Okay, I can't do math apparently because I never realized that. So
yeah, it's more than 3 times what it was before, because it was at around 3. And now, 3 and like 3.15, whatever, but 3 is where you would round it to. And now it's at 10. So it's more than 3 times what it was before. Okay. And that's before you're issued a final warning. That's not that warning is the where it says, hey, you've got 1 week to get your stuff in gear. So really, that's 11 weeks because 10 weeks, warning, 1 week, then the repo man comes to see you.
This is designed to relieve the pressure of carrier management, leaving more time for focus on other activities. While the debt threshold will be lower, fleet carrier owners will have more time to maintain the upkeep costs. So, yeah, I don't see this. Yeah,
if you happen to go away for an entire season, you still have time. You could be like, oh my God, I don't this summer. I'm just gonna not whatever. I'm gonna go fly kites or whatever, and you could come back in the fall and you're still okay.
Well, this is almost one of the things I was saying when we first announced them, or when they first announced them, about how it would be nice to have a little bit more, like some way to suspend them. Not really giving you a way to suspend them, but they're really giving you a lot of ways that you can, are more timed where you don't have to worry about it as much. And that's kind of what we were really after anyway. So,
well, to be honest with you, the way that it's set up now with these reduced costs, you can spend a day, farm up $1 billion, and you're good for a year. Yeah. So if that's the case, like this is just extra. This is just, hey, for those who don't have anything, it gives you a little more whatever, a little more extra time or whatever. But like it's good.
Yeah. Let's see here. The total upfront activation cost of some of the more expensive services will be reduced by 35 to 45%.
Yep. So instead of spending $2.5 billion to fully buy all the stuff on the fleet carrier or whatever, now it'll be half that. So whatever, $1 billion.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Here's what I'll say about that, though. I was never upset about the cost, about the upfront cost of any of it. I felt like the upfront cost should have been fine. My one complaint with the upfront cost is that I was buying a fleet carrier and not a commodity market. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really address swapping those two out. I still think they're going to do it. I feel like there's more coding involved for them to do that than just a small change. I feel like that may be something we see in the second beta. Just a guess though. So
I also agree that it's a thing that they need to look at. I don't think that it involves any coding at all. I think that they just were going to say, I literally think they were like, okay, we're going to throw out these changes. These are the things that people are setting fire to, parked cars over. We're going to throw this out. We're going to gauge their response. I think they left that knowing that it's something they can fix in round 2 to make people happy.
Yeah.
I think it's a strategy. I do think it'll get fixed before the final product releases in June. These are the changes midway between, the first, whatever. This is the first week to the second week of beta 1. And then some of these changes that will be addressed later will not take place until beta 2, but they're already locking it in. I would not be shocked at all to see 1 or 2 more changes listed at the launch of beta 2. And I definitely would not be shocked at all to see another sort of round of changes just like this that'll come in the midst of beta 2 in May 11th. Yeah. But that's unofficial. But yeah.
So you're thinking May 11th. Did they already say May 11th is beta 2?
No, but yes.
That's what you're guessing, huh?
This is based off of a conversation with Malik VR. And then the fact that when I mentioned it today to Bruce and Steven, they both got very, well, we can't say that that's official. Wink, wink.
Little Brucey bonus then, huh?
It's not official, but let's just say, and Bruce went out of his way, literally said, hey, don't take time off of work for the 11th or anything because it's not confirmed yet. And of course it's not confirmed yet. This is a beta. They're looking at stuff. If on May the 8th, or if when they're having meetings on this, whenever it is they're having meetings on this, and they say, hey, we're going to announce that it's on May 11th, and some dev comes back and says, hey, if you push it till the 12th, I can fix this thing and we can do something cool. yes, obviously you don't tie yourself down ahead of time, but just between you and me, wink, wink, it's going to be on May 11th.
All right.
Just don't tell anybody, okay? Just keep it a secret, Ty.
All right, so May 11th, got it. You know me in secrets. I suck at them. So.
All right.
All right, let's see here.
Time between jumps.
Yes. The time between jumps will be dramatically decreased. This is freaking huge to me. I did not see this part coming.
I also did not.
By only requiring 15 minutes for jump preparation and 5 minutes to cool down. So you can do you can do 3 jumps an hour now. You can do 1,500 light years in an hour now.
Correct.
I don't know if I like this.
I'm fine with it. I wasn't asking for it. Let's be clear. I was not asking for it. I was okay with it taking 2 hours. The part that I don't like, and I still don't like, is you can't book multiple jumps and you can't arrange to manage your fuel from storage to the fuel tank effectively. That still, I think, needs a balance pass and needs to be looked at. But them making this change to where you can do, instead of 1 jump every 2 hours, 3 jumps every 1 hour is massive. This was a thing that I wasn't expecting. This is a thing that I wasn't asking for, but this is a thing that I am definitely delighted to see. I still want the other thing. I still want multi-jump booking, and I still want, effective management of my fuel, but this is great. I'm very happy for this.
Yeah. Okay, so this is my issue with it. You're shrinking down. Okay. One of the things I was most excited about when Burning Crusade for World of Warcraft came out was the ability to fly. I loved the idea of being on a griffin and flying around places, and that was such a cool idea. And I still like it in the game today. However, I'm not ignorant to the fact that before flying came in, the world felt huge, and getting around was difficult and fun because you had to plan where you were going to go and what you were going to do and how you got there. And when you got to where you could fly, it became a situation where it was, what are you doing? Just fly here. It's not a big deal. And something was lost when that took place. And we're going to be able to do 1,500 light years, theoretically, in an hour now. And
not theoretically, absolutely stated, explicit.
Right.
This isn't that. This doesn't shrink the world the way that you're thinking. This would shrink the world the way you were thinking. Go ahead. What?
Well, I don't know, because I kind of feel like it will, but go ahead.
It doesn't. This is not that. This is not flying around on your griffin. Flying around in your griffin would be the equivalent there would be flying around in your vet. This is the equivalent of summoning stones. This is I have a thing. I'm not flying around in my fleet carrier. My fleet carrier is a management tool for moving stuff A to B to whatever. It doesn't change the gameplay. It's summoning stones. It's a completely different equivalency. And the reason why I say this doesn't change the gameplay is because in World of Warcraft at that time, you had 15, 20, 30 zones. This game has over 420 billion zones. You're not going to fly around in all of it. You're not going to jump through and explore all of the zones in the game in your fleet carrier. This is just moving your stuff around. You're still going to get out and fly in your ship to all of those zones. This is not of an equivalency. It does not shrink the world in the sense of like, I've explored all the stuff there is to explore, because you're not going to explore in your fleet carrier. You're going to explore in your ship, and you're going to be supported logistically through your fleet carrier.
Okay. So you don't think that, so like, give me an idea here, kind of what I have envision in my head is me parking my ships on my fleet carrier and me scheduling a jump, driving to work. And then after I got an hour drive to work. And after I get to work, I remote in to my computer at home. And then I do another jump. And then 20 minutes later, I do another jump. And then I'm moving, basically throughout an 8-9 hour day. I have cleared, what is that, 10,000 light years? Is that right?
You have
roughly
moved 10,000 light years. You haven't cleared 10,000 light years.
True.
You will have not scanned any of the planets in any of those systems from when you left your house that morning to when you get home.
Right.
All you've done is logistically moved from one spot. Again, this is not flying in your Griffin. You're not seeing stuff. You're not highlighting your little map the way you are on Kalimdor or Azeroth. You are using a teleport stone to get to the other side of the map so that you can get out and see stuff more easily.
Okay. Well, I kind of see what you're saying. I kind of agree with you.
All day at work, you've moved your little ship from, a massive amount of every 20 minutes. If you do it for a 10-hour workday, you're talking about 1,500 light years an hour for 10 hours. You're talking about moving 15,000 light years. And in that whole time, you've not explored a single planet. You've not scanned a single thing. You haven't found a Guardian site. You haven't enjoyed any vistas. You haven't put your name on anything. You've just moved from spot to spot. It is a useful tool for getting you logistic support where you need it. It is not active gameplay.
Okay. Well, I hear you on the not active gameplay, but it kind of is because you're still moving where you're at. However, if you think about it for a minute, this is still pretty cool because I just had the thought that, okay, how cool would it be to, let's say, I'm going to set up a weekly, not a weekly, but I'm going to set up a every other day ferry service on my fleet carrier from, I don't know, Shinra. No, I can't go to Shinrarta. We'll say LHS 317 to Colonia. It's not a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, can it be done? Yes. Is it going to cost you quite a bit of money in fuel? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you got to think about that too, though, is that, yeah, fuel's going to cost, but if you tell people, hey, you want to do this trip, you got to bring X amount of fuel. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if I like it because from the point of view of maybe it might feel like that they're shrinking things. I don't know, just my own personal thought. But even if it does shrink things a little bit, I still feel like we're coming out ahead overall. So I'm cool with that.
It's kind of, to me, I look at it from the standpoint of, let's say you hop on a plane in Houston, right? And you get off in Beijing. All right. So while that plane was flying, you went from, say, Houston to LA, LA to, you go up to Alaska, then it shoots across to Beijing. You shoot across to China, and then you end up in Beijing. It's not like you've seen Canada. It's not like you've seen Oregon. It's not like you've explored Alaska. It's not like you've, swam through the Pacific Ocean. It's not like you stopped in, Hubei province and then Hunan province and then, Shenzhen and then, got out in Beijing. Like you just went from A to B. It doesn't shrink the world. It doesn't give you access to the experiences in all of those places in between. It just moves you quickly from point A to point B so that you can get out in Beijing and start exploring.
Okay.
Stay away from the bat soup.
Well, don't you know that's all been that's all Chinese conspiracy theory now? So
Yeah, I was making a joke, but yeah.
trust me, I am too.
But I don't, just from your aspect of like what you were saying of like, well, it shrinks the world. So it does shrink the world in a sense, but the shrinkage isn't the equivalency of the way that it did it in World of Warcraft. The way that, like I said, to me, the equivalency of a fleet carrier fast travel is way, way more that the equivalency of a, like I said, a summoning stone. It doesn't devalue your experience because it's not like you're unlocking the whole map between A and B. You're just getting there. And now once you're there, well, now you have to move around and do stuff. Now you have to have your meaningful experiences. And I'm glad for that. I wouldn't want, if they said, hey, we're going to tick about hey, fleet carriers now have the ability when you jump into a zone, right? It scans that whole zone and it has such super powerful fucking telescope arrays that it also scans every zone that is directly connected to that zone within sort of 20 light years. All right, now you're shrinking the world. That's a different situation.
Yeah.
But as it stands now, it's not shrinking the world because in order to actually meaningfully interact with the world, you still have to get out of your fleet carrier and do real stuff. You have to play. And that I'm okay with. If they were to say, starting tomorrow, we're giving you fleet carriers that now scan every zone that you pass through and, 10 light years, 20 light years in every direction, that would make me unhappy. That would be, okay, now you're breaking the game. Now you're giving me, flight in Azeroth and I'm just flying over the map and unlocking it all, even though I'm not in any way interacting with anything. I'm just watching Netflix. Like that would be bad.
So, we've kind of hinted on the idea a little bit, I believe last episode, but do you think we'll see something like a phone app to where you can control your fleet carrier when you're not actually in the game?
I would not be shocked if we see it at some point in the future. But to me, that is a far, far secondary, lesser fix than letting me plot multi-route, multi-jump routes and effectively manage my fuel tank in by giving directions to my crew at any point remotely. That's a far, far superior. Now, the other side of like, will we get a phone app? Maybe. And will the phone app have the ability to, plot a route? Probably. Is trying to deal with the galaxy map on your little iPhone screen going to suck balls? Probably. Jesus. Especially when you get close to SAG-A, Jesus Christ, your little phone's going to be smoking. But, going back to like other things where you have apps where you can do stuff, could that be a thing at one point that you start to manage your buy orders and sell orders? I think that fleet carriers should have some form of like the owner of the fleet carrier should have like a message board that they could put up to give directions so that it allows for more group play. It allows for more like, hey, me and my friends are going, we have my carrier and one of my friend's carrier and, mine is going to have orders like, hey guys, I need you to go get tritium, blah, blah, blah. And somebody else is going to say like, hey, we're going to go do this, get ready for this or that or whatever, ship over a ship that does this kind of a thing because we're going to go do that on Wednesday or whatever. That, stuff like that, where like putting a bulletin board up that can be controlled, that would be very good functionality for a phone. Buy orders and sell orders is good functionality for a phone. Moving fuel, I guess. But still, that would, the only way that would work as it stands now is if also your ship just was sitting there on the fleet carrier. Like to me, it's still far preferable to fix the fact that, I have a crew that works in the fuel department. I am paying them millions of dollars a week. I would like them to move the fuel from auxiliary storage to the fuel tank because that's their job.
Well, so kind of like on the phone app thing, I've been thinking about this for a little while, and we both are pretty much in agreement that everything we see with fleet carriers is a precursor to what we're going to get in the new era, the 2020 update. And, we are both pretty much believing we're going to get base building of some type, and we're going to get probably production of some type. To me, if we had a phone companion app to where I could, set my stuff up to where I'm building whatever, like some sort of little widgets. And then, by the time I get home, my widgets are ready and I can load them onto my ship and then carry them over to your base, which makes What's-It-Gots. And then your What's-It-Gots can be, made into, gears or some shit, actually something useful. I mean, that's a really good thing to actually have a little phone app, and they could then integrate like the fleet carrier stuff into it and just the minor stuff into it. And, I feel like they have the resources to do that, but I don't think I've ever seen anywhere on their job postings where they're looking for a mobile app programmer or manager or anything like that. So I think that we're probably still far off from it. Now, that being said, I'm really pro them doing some sort of phone app that would allow us. Maybe you have to have, maybe from the phone app, you have had to have visited the star system beforehand in your small ship to be able to plot the course to it. I don't know. But just that would eliminate a lot of the things you have to do. Just like just like you're talking about getting your fleet carrier around SAG-A, that would fix a lot of that. So
I think there could be functionality and there could be a cool thing there. I'm not overly excited or breaking down the door for one because of two things. One, if you fix the functionality so that I can do it in game, 90% of everything, it'll make me happy. I'll be fine. And
Agreed.
Two, I've looked around and I've seen the history of how other MMOs deal with phone apps, and quite a few of them, the way they do it is there's a $6 a month or $5 a month subscription fee or whatever. And to me, I'd rather just let me plot my routes. I have a crew. Let me give them instructions. I'm paying them by the month, and I'm happy to pay them by the month. I want them to do the job that I'm paying them to do, follow out my instructions, and over and above that, I'm fine logging in and handling it. Could a phone app be cool? Yeah. Is it going to require a massive amount of changing the world? No. Tencent Game owns 7% of Frontier, and Tencent has like 12 to 20 different app situations out. They can knock this out. That's not a big deal. Am I super, super excited and clamoring for it? No, because it's probably going to require a monthly fee, and I have no interest in that. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and, something to kind of go along with that is nearly every phone app I've ever messed with, MMO or otherwise, has been a trash fire. And there's been a few exceptions here and there, but the vast majority of phone apps out there are just kind of crappy, especially when they integrate with a larger game. And I don't, probably the one I can think of that I really enjoyed, oddly enough, the most is Assassin's Creed Black Flag, way back in the day, which I don't even remember what the hell I was using it for, aside from like the little pirate missions you could send your little ship on and get extra money for your actual pirate ship in the game. I remember sitting there doing that at work. There was something else you could do with it, but I can't remember what the hell it was now. But you didn't have to pay nothing for it. It was just a little companion app. But the vast majority of companion apps for video games are poorly made.
You know what else is crappy?
What's that?
Not having universal cartographics on your fleet carrier. I wonder if they'll fix that.
Just about to say that. So, well, that to me is like the biggest thing on here. I mean, so the tritium thing, they're going to make tritium twice as more effective. And they're also, as far as where you can jump further, and they're going to make tritium mining places more effective as far as finding them. So
I don't technically explicitly see right here the mining the tritium,
right?
But they do explicitly state that tritium will be at least 2 times more effective as a fuel. When you say at least 2, there's no reason to say at least 2 times more effective unless it's more than. If you're saying, we know we need to make tritium better in beta 2. We're not sure yet. It's either going to be 2 times or 3 times or 2.5 times or 4 times or whatever. Then you would say at least 2 times more effective. If you had already locked in that it was going to be exactly 100% more, then you would take the at least part out.
Right.
So I think what we're going to see is 3 times more effective. But we will find out on May 11th or whenever beta 2 comes.
So you mentioned it. Let's talk about it. Universal cartographics. This right here says will come in the second beta, which will be May 11th. Wink, wink. Or maybe May 11th. Wink, wink. It'll be an optional service, probably something you have to purchase, similar to bounty vouchers. A cut of 25%. Which will be split 50-50 between the fleet carrier's bank and the service, will be taken from any data sold on the fleet carrier. This means owners will effectively only be charged a fee of 12.5% on their own fleet carrier. This service will otherwise be the same as universal cartographic services found on stations. I mean, this seems like I don't know why the hell they didn't do this to begin with. I have yet to hear a great argument. I've heard some good ones, but not any great ones as to why this wasn't the case to begin with.
There's only, so I don't know if you want to call this a good argument or not a good argument. I think by its definition, to me, I find it a not good argument, but the argument that I find the most plausible why this was not put in for day 1 of beta 1 is that they were new coking us. They literally gave us fleet carriers with all of the pain points set to maximum. And this is a key part of that, with the knowledge or assumption or expectation that they were going to go back and lower those pain points and make it sort of easier and better and more effective, so that they went into this saying, we're going to get salt, we're going to preemptively give them something to be salty about, then fix it, and then they'll be happy. I don't like that argument, but it's the most plausible. These are smart guys. I don't see them looking at this as a product prior to beta 1 launch going, yeah, nobody's going to want universal cartographics. I just, that doesn't feel right to me.
It doesn't hold water is the problem. And I completely agree with you. It doesn't make a lot of sense in my little brain as to, because from the very first time they announced fleet carriers, from the very first time, most of the people that I talked to that were interested in fleet carriers, one of the things they mentioned over and over again were the what's it called? or the the fact that you can move a fleet carrier out to somewhere in the galaxy and use it as a base of operations while you explore. And not having a UC makes it pretty much useless. Yes, you can repair. Yes, you can refuel. And while those things are useful, and plenty of people have done plenty of exploring successfully without a fleet carrier. So having one to use as a base of operations where you can sell your cartographic data makes it, realistically speaking, that's the only reason an explorer would want to have a fleet carrier. I can't think of another reason why.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through this list real quick. Because the big question is, what's not on the list? Like what were we wanting that we didn't get? Paintworks?
Okay. So, I mean, I think first what we should do is we should look at, like, just real quick, let's look at let's look at what they're talking about here for Universal Cartographics a little closer.
Okay.
So they're saying similar to the bounty vouchers, there will be a 25% cut, and that'll be split 50-50 with the owner and the just UC. So 12.5% of it you're paying to Universal Cartographics, the company, and that just poofs away. That gets sucked out of the economy and away from the game. The other 12.5% goes to the fleet carrier owner. So if you're doing your own, you're only going to pay 12.5%. That is awesome for your own personal use. That is something that I think explorers will be thrilled with. For stuff like the DSSA, or for, I'm going to park my thing here and you can come and you can sell your data, and I'm going to take a cut of that. I'm going to park at Beagle Point. I'm going to park here. I'm going to park there. It makes it good. It takes out the sort of, I think that this is an explicit amount. I think that it's just straight up 12.5% of all of the millions go to the owner. 12.5% of all of the millions get thrown out of the game. So I don't think that this is going to be modified by the whole tariff system. So, but I mean, that's fine. I think for DSSA, this is a win. For people, the use case of I'm going to go out by myself or with my friends, 2 or 3 of us, we're going to take a carrier out and we're going to do whatever, and we're going to whatever. This is a win. In both cases, I think this covers the upkeep costs, especially with the vastly reduced upkeep costs. So on the whole Universal Cartographics question, before we even get away from that into what we want, just massive, massive win. Universal Cartographics, massive, massive win. The modified price of the upkeep, massive, massive win. The spool up time and the extra tritium effectiveness, did not even expect it, beyond massive win. That's like, holy shit, man. All right, cool. So yeah, as we said last week on the show, we went around and said, would you buy a fleet carrier right now? And all 3 of us said, fuck no.
Yeah.
Based off of these changes, would you buy a fleet carrier right now if they changed nothing else at all? Now, I've got things that I want. I've got a list. I'm more than happy to go over them. But even if they just said, fuck it, this is what you get, buy it or walk away, my answer is, yes, please, I'll take one. This is already went from last week, this was an F-, I would not purchase that product, to this week, this is even just right here with no other changes, this is already a B+, I would buy this product. What about you?
So last week when we, the question was, would you buy a fleet carrier? So I kind of had two different ways to look at it. One, financially, pretty much unless you had hundreds of billions of credits, you will financially ruin yourself in game within I mean, unless all you do is just work on earning money, you're gonna financially ruin yourself in the game. So the answer last week was a no. If the exception of they're only available for a week, and after that you can't buy them no more. Yes, I'm going to buy one because I was confident these changes were coming. I truly believe these changes were coming. Now, right now, there's only, to me, like one or two things that I still want to see changed. Those one or two things, if they don't change them, if they start charging 50% more upkeep, I'm still in. I'm good. I love these changes. These changes are near perfect. I mean, they really hit a home run with these things. About the only other thing I'd still like to see, and it's such a small thing really, is I would like to see I think it'd be cool to have fleet carrier missions. And I don't know what they are. I don't know what those look like, so don't really ask me. I don't know. But I want your fleet carrier, like how cool would it be to pull your fleet carrier into a combat zone and it kind of help you like a large ship, like a what the hell is the ship called? Like the Majestic or the
So you're talking about the Farragut class battle cruiser or the Majestic Interdictor.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
How cool would it be to have your fleet carrier pull in like that?
Okay, that's a thing. Yeah.
So, if we're talking about the things that I still would like to see them change,
all right.
Secure trading, secure market. That feels weird. It just feels weird. I don't know why it feels weird. I don't think we need it. I don't know what we're going to be using it for. I don't get it. I just don't get it, man. I want things to be more better on that. I still, want to be able to change the ID number of my fleet carrier. Why we can't do that, I don't know. I don't understand that. I'm with you having, this thing be labeled Paintworks and have it be labeled Paint Jobs everywhere else is weird. And I do not understand it. Also, when you do a repair all, you're repairing your paint. So I kind of wish that was taken out to where you had an option to where repair all didn't repair your paint. Like it was on a separate thing. Cause now me personally, I like to keep my paint nice and tight, nice and 100%, but a lot of people don't. But yeah, these are small things, man. These are really small things. What are some of yours? Talk to me.
All right. So here's my list. And this is my list that is entitled What I Still Want for June Launch.
Okay.
Number 1, swap the shipyard for the market on the basic loadout so that the fleet carrier, all fleet carriers, are in fact carriers of fleets.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was one of mine too. But yeah, go ahead.
Number 2, make sure that the suspend and the unsuspend services are available anywhere in the galaxy. This isn't the return services. This isn't I'm unloading shit off of my ship. This is just I'm telling the people, hey guys, take a week, take a chill time. We're gonna just turn off the lights, lock the doors. You're on paid vacation. You get a lower amount. Make sure that the suspend cost should be set at 10%, not 50%. So in their announcement of the fleet carrier, in the trailer that they launched to announce the trailer, it was set at 10%. Move it back. In day one of beta, it got moved up to 50%. Move it back to 10%, just on principle. That seems right. And let you suspend, unsuspend anywhere in the galaxy. That would be a thing that I would like, please. Number 3, terminology issues. So Paintworks or paint jobs, secure warehouse is not a thing. It's a black market. Number 4, and this is of all of them, honestly, I don't know why I listed this as number 4 because it's the most important to me of everything that I've just listed here. Let me schedule jumps and manage my fuel. That is massive. The shipyard for the market, that's a thing that I think should be fixed on principle because it just should. But for me, it's going to make zero difference because I'm going to have them both. The suspend, unsuspend, actually, that's the biggest. The suspend, unsuspend is the biggest. The schedule the jumps is the next biggest. The swapping the shipyard of the market means no difference to me, but it's just good on principle. The terminology, Paintworks and secure warehouse makes no difference to me personally. It just irks me, but it's not like a big deal. The next thing I have is put back the date and timestamp on station services. I vastly prefer the new station services. I think it's super awesome, and their design team should take a bow. They did a fucking awesome job. It's a great thing. But put back the date and timestamp because some people, like the Buckyball Race Club, need that date and timestamp because that's how they secure their metrics. That's how they prove I was at this station at this time, and then I moved to the next thing. And being able to just hit the what do you call it? The screen picture, photo, screen cap, whatever, screen capture button. Being able to just hit that and have it pull the date and time off of your station services menu. That's super, super important for them. And they're awesome. So give them that back, please. The next thing, allow a checkbox to disable the paint job repair. Just literally put a checkbox somewhere in your options that say, disable auto paint job repair so that you can still manually repair it whenever you want. I'm not talking about going through and redoing their whole how you do, their purchase all, because their purchase all to fix everything in one button. That's awesome. And a lot of people are going to like it. There are some people that are going to say, I don't want to fix my paint job. Okay, just make them happy by giving them a disable that button so that it does still everything else. They have to manually repair their paint. Does it bother me in any way? Nope. But I think it's going to bother some people, so do that. And then my last thing that I want to see in June, we glossed over the fact that when they dropped Beta 1 on fleet carriers, they gave Elite Dangerous a gift. They gave the community a gift and said, oh, here's just us being cheeky little fucking bastards saying, have this, enjoy. Now you can queue up for CQC out in the world. That's awesome. That was very, very cool, but it got lost in the mountain of salt that was upkeep costs and lack of universal cartographics. Okay. Do that again. Hit the community with a little fun surprise, right? As you're fixing all this stuff, and watch that without the salt of the high upkeep cost, watch how people are going to latch onto it and lose their fucking minds in happiness and joy for frontier development. And I'll even provide you the idea of what I want as the secret bonus. Ready? Map bookmark folders. That's it. Just let us create folders. Let us organize those folders for our map bookmarks. This existed in Firefox in the 1990s. This is locally stored, does not take up any space on your servers. It's a thing that a guy could do in an afternoon. And let me tell you something. If fleet carriers are, because they're already, the salt isn't going away. The legitimate salt is going away. The people that are still salty are just showing themselves to be marginalized. The middle, the people that are rational, are coming around to, hey, this is great. Obsidian Ant's video that he put out earlier today was like, hey, this is great. I still don't like the idea of upkeeps. That's just me personally. But looking at this is very reasonable. This is very manageable. This is not a problem. I'm paraphrasing Ant there. Like the rational people are letting go of the salt and are coming back to the fold of, this is awesome. Thank you. Okay. If you now give as a secret bonus map bookmarks, like folders for your, let you organize your bookmarks on your map, how happy do you think people will be? How, like, if they just throw that in as a cheeky little extra? What do you think, Ty?
I think here's the thing. Throwing in CQC queuing while you're just flying around normally, that's a game-changing mechanic. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. Putting in something like map bookmark folders, or putting in something like the ability to sort bookmarks by a certain way, or, you know what, let me see all of my discoveries, everything that I first discovered. Let me see all those things. Let me see on the map. Let me be able to sort all the places that I have a bounty or have a fine on the map. Or, you know what, let me see all the places where there are prison ships. That way I can figure out where I need to blow up or something like that. Stuff like that goes a long way to making the functionality of the game more fun, more engaging, and just more better. And the last thing it does is that little things like that kind of go, they're, I don't want to say they're good PR, but they're good, what's the right word, man? Help me. My redneck's kicking in here. Oh,
community relations.
Yeah.
What are you trying to?
It's a good community relation thing to do, to where you're doing something to help your community that, or you're putting something into the game that kind of helps the community that is not really, you know, like a game breaking thing. It's just an annoyance, you know? Mm. And
public relations, community management. I'm trying to.
Yeah. I'm having a complete brain fart here because I'm making the mistake of trying to land while I'm trying to talk. So
good press, good faith, good vibes, good times.
All of it, all the things, the things there. Right. I'll never be able to remember it now, but it doesn't really matter because.
So, go ahead.
But I mean, the fact of the matter is that. These kind of things go a long way on the whole, and I think that they should, you know, keep things like that in the game, and I don't see why they wouldn't. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So,
all right, so that was the heading that I put up here of what I still want for the June launch. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I have a third heading. And this is what I would like going forward to consider. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not stuff that I'm saying, give it to us on launch. This is stuff that I'm saying after you launch fleet carriers. Because let's just say there is a perception by a portion of the community that Frontier likes to throw out a product and then go, all right, that's a thing. Moving on. We've forgotten that. That doesn't exist anymore. We're going to move on with our lives now. And in some cases in the past, that perception has been earned. I think that perception is sort of valid. In other cases, that perception, you know, I think maybe do a revisit. And in some cases, you get surprises. You get, they'll never, ever do anything with CQC. It is what it is. Frontier forgot that it exists. It's not a thing anymore. And then, hey, here's a fleet carrier update. And oh, by the way, you queue up for CQC now. Like, what? Oh, okay. So along those lines of bucking the trend, of beating the expectation, of going the extra mile and wowing your community, these are things that I would like Frontier to think about going forward. It doesn't have to happen in June. If we get it in June, wow, that'd be an awesome surprise. If we get it in September or October, okay, cool. Look, the skeleton crew that's not doing the new era stuff is like, hey, we could put together this, we could do that or whatever. That would be awesome. So here are the things that I would like, and they don't have to happen. It's just something to think about. Maybe they've got better ideas. I'm sure they've got smarter people than me. So, okay, fine. But these are the ideas that I came up with.
Okay.
Number 1, Frontier, you guys did an awesome job on the whole graphics and sound and the whole experience of jumping a fleet carrier. I think it would be really neat if all of those people that were on the fleet carrier, it kicks you out of whatever menu you're in. It locks it down to where if you're in the management menu, it knocks you out of it. If you're in the, I'm buying and selling on the market, or I'm repairing or buying limpets or, whatever, it knocks you out of that. And it basically puts you in that window where you're staring at the wall across, from the hangar that says like, you are here. And you just sit there and you get to hear a very cool jump sequence, but you don't get to see the very cool jump sequence that a ton of people put a lot of work into making look awesome. So I say, instead of forcing me to stare at the wall, when you kick everybody out of whatever menu they're in, kick them into just the overview, the general outside view where they get to see the fleet carrier do that awesome jump where it goes into the cloud with the lightnings and stuff. So that's number 1.
I agree.
Number 2. Okay, this is kind of weird, but I would like for the dev teams to create a little use case focused dev team events. And this is what I mean by that. I mean, a month after launch or 2 months after launch, when they have the data and they see how people are using these fleet carriers, they should just get together for a day or 2 or whatever and like have a meeting, have a lunch meeting, and then say like, oh man, they're using it like this. What can we put in the game? What can we design? What can we, sort of add to the functionality of fleet carriers that would support that, so that you are sort of not saying, we think people will do A, B, C, and D, so we're going to design stuff for A, B, C, and D, but actually look at the data, and you might find that people are doing A, not B, not C. They are doing D. They're also doing E and F. Well, so design shit for A, E, and F and forget fucking B, C, and D, because the reality is that the emergent gameplay around these assets will not be dictated by the company. It will be dictated by the community. So instead of having predetermined, we're going to put in this because this is what's going to work with that, just take a moment, take a beat, look and see what the players are doing and put stuff in that would support making cool shit happen with that.
You mean something along the lines of like having droppable rings for races that are already in the game? That would be cool if we could, have someone drop that way we could actually have in-game races.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that.
But I mean, specifically with regard to fleet carriers, I think that would be awesome. But also, There's no reason why in the game in general that could not be cool. Yeah, for sure.
I got you. 10-4.
Number or letter C, number 3, whatever. Knock yourself out. Message board options. Remember what I just said before of like, I think that in the future, in the not too distant future, dare I say, let me check my crystal ball. It's telling me sometime around December. I'm thinking that there might be changes to Elite Dangerous. And I'm thinking that some of those changes might include, I don't know, people walking around in stations and doing stuff like that. And I'm thinking could be cool if you had, a bridge and you had, a lounge and you had a whatever. And it would be cool if it's one of those set pieces included an ability for a fleet carrier owner and whoever he assigns, if you can put like 2 or 3 people or to a lesser degree, anyone, if the fleet carrier owner clicks on that option and allows it, people could message back and forth so that you could jump on my fleet carrier and you could see the message of the day is this, that the commodities we're looking for is that. Planning on, hey, let's scout out these planets this way, and then we're going to jump that way. Hey, we're going to hit up this Hazres ring. Hey, we're going to go invade that player group. Hey, we're going to, whatever. I can say, as the owner, hey, these are our priorities. This is what we're working on. Other people can chip in. Hey, I've noticed this. Hey, I've noticed that. Hey, I'm going to go. I noticed you're a little low on tritium. I'm going to go mine some up. I won't get to it till later today. I'm at work right now, but I'm going to hit it up. Okay, stuff like that would be cool, I think. A message, sort of message board, some sort of a social interactive hub on the fleet carrier that can be used to generate dynamic gameplay.
Let me ask you something on that too, because so I go back to Squadrons, when they first implemented Squadrons. And while they seemed like a really cool, awesome idea, and I was super duper excited for them and all the stuff, they're kind of flat, and they don't feel like they're very fleshed out or anything like that. I kind of would not mind to see them integrate the fleet carriers into the squadron somehow. I kind of feel like that we need more squadron interface in general. Now, that being said, there's a lot of games, not necessarily Elite, but there's a lot of game developers that are looking at the number of people that are on Discord, and they're not necessarily improving their in-game chat functions because most of their players are going to Discord. So because of that, like a lot of game developers are actually doing things to integrate into Discord. So I would like to see FDev kind of in the same vein, have some way that you can integrate your fleet carrier or squadron right into your Discord app. And the API to do that already exists. They just have to modify it for Frontier. And, it seems to me like it would be, a couple days of integration or a couple days of work. And of course, I'm not a game developer or programmer, so I'm sure there's far more work involved than what I could possibly even imagine. But it seems to me that there's not a lot involved. And that could be, you would get a lot of returns on that. The fact of the matter is that the communication functions for Elite are awful. Matthew Willis in the chat is 100% right. They are awful. It feels archaic and it needs a facelift. To me, it seems like integrating with Discord, because most people are using Discord anyway. If they were to integrate the chat and voice functions of the game into Discord that other games are already doing, that there's already API there to do, it seems like that's a very small thing to do that would give them very big gains.
Yeah, man, I was looking for a message board on the fleet carrier because that seemed easy and definable to me. This other stuff that you're talking about, that is, to me, that is somewhere between, wow, that's crazy cool, and that could be witchcraft. So, like, I don't, if it's doable, if you're saying it's happening and it's a thing that they could do, awesome. I would be all for it. But at the very least, if I could get some form of a messaging hub or some form of whatever is best for allowing fleet carriers to sort of thrive as a meeting place, as a communications hub, as a sort of player with player interaction generator, however they think is best, or you think, or the community, or whoever's got the best idea on this, I am all for it.
Agreed.
All right. So the next thing, I would like them to look at a way to level up the fleet carrier or level up the services or level up the crew members. Maybe some form of a fleet carrier sort of player directed community goal, some kind of a something like you have to do this much this, you have to do this much deliveries, you have to do this much mining, you have to do this much selling of cartographic data, you have to do this much selling of bounties, you have to do this much whatever, some way, somehow, something that allows me to start the process of leveling up my fleet carrier, of making it like more awesome or cutting. Once you get it to this, you can provide more services. Once you get it to that, you can do this thing. You can do that thing. Is that easy? Any of what I just said? Fuck no. That's a lot of work, but it would be cool. And maybe, so these are like pie in the sky ideas that I want them to consider. Okay. If they consider it and go, oh, fuck that. That's a ton of work. We're not putting that much time into it. We can do this and this and this much more easier. Okay, cool. But these are all just think about it. And then if it's not good or it doesn't work or it causes problems that I'm too dumb to even sort of kind of consider, then don't do it. But just think about it. What do you think about the idea of leveling up your fleet carrier or the services or the crew members? And then, like your crew, your SLF crew, man. You level them up, and then the guy is like, oh, he's an expert, he's deadly, he's whatever. Maybe an expert or obviously you don't want to use, I don't think, deadly, but if you have an elite fuel crew, maybe, they're able to squeeze a little extra out of your whatever. And now, I'm not talking about like, oh, my fleet carrier jumps 12 times farther than it used to, but like maybe. Having an elite fuel crew, maybe they are 5% more effective at saving whatever. So, you squeeze a little more out of it or something like that. What do you think?
So to me, this is not even a stretch, because the way I look at it is like this. We are already doing this a little bit. And I say that because we're doing this with engineers. We're already leveling up things within our engineers, and we're leveling up our crews, our ship launch fighter crews right now. And I don't like the way that we level up our ship launch fighter crews. I feel like that if I can buy an expert pilot, why can't I buy an elite pilot? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, let them cost more, let them be more expensive, all the things. I'm all for that. Okay. But let me buy more expensive ones. So
what about a fleet carrier player directed community goal? What about like missions of like, not missions like on a mission board, but like it just comes up for the owner like, hey, if you do this, you can get that. You could unlock, and then people could have ways to like find a path to say like, I want to customize mine this way. Mine isn't going to do shit with the marketplace or whatever, but man, my guys are going to be super, super effective at being like watching that fuel tank or whatever and being able to do this or that and the other better than other stuff.
I like the idea of leveling up the crew of the fleet carrier. I'm not sure I'm fond of the idea of leveling up the fleet carrier itself, but if you could get something like 2% more jump range out of a expert level crew, if you could get 5% more tonnage or storage space out of an expert level crew, yeah, I'm all for that. I think that'd be great. Matthew in the chat says could be ranking just like Federation and Empire. That kind of gave me the idea of, well, what if you could customize the look, through ranking up in the Federation and Empire? What if you could customize the look of your fleet carrier to look more Federation or Empire or even Alliance looking?
All right, Matthew, stay out of my goddamn notes because that's coming up. I'm watching you now, Matthew. You're on my list.
Yeah, it's something else too. What if you could take your, because he also pointed this out too. What if you could take your fleet carrier and pledged it to a superpower and say, this fleet carrier is Li Yong-Ru's, and once you pledge it, you're stuck with it until you sell the fleet carrier. I kind of like that idea too. Although the problem with that is that you're going to have these people that are going to game the BGS through fleet carriers. So there's going to have to be some tooling behind the mechanics of the BGS to make all that work. But I like the idea.
Okay, so that's that. That was D. So now we go with E. How about engineering fleet carriers? Which obviously we kind of just already covered when we talked about the whatever, like squeezing, like I said, squeezing little extra bits, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now we've got F, delivery and player interaction. So here's what I mean by delivery. I mean, you have a fleet carrier that is out by Beagle Point. You have a couple of extra ships that you put on there. Somebody lands and they say, man, I really want this ship or I want that ship. Well, I'm going to be living here for a month. I'm going to be flying around and just, scanning stuff. But I want to custom order a ship. Be able to do a custom order, just like in olden days when people lived in, Iowa or Nebraska or whatever. And they were like, we're pioneers. They would still have a mail order catalog from, Sears and Roebuck in Chicago. And they were like, what? It's, it's coming. You would order a thing and then you had to wait. You paid an extra amount for the delivery and you waited. And, but okay, it'll be here. It'll be 3 days. They'll ship it over and have that as an option. Or, hey man, I've got my, 8 ships that I have in this ship pack that I bought. And okay, well, somebody just bought the 8th one. Well, shit. Now I got to jump, 37,000 light years to get back to a sales spot. It's like, well, no, you should be able to click a button and order a restock. And again, it's not going to show up for 4 days. Okay, fine, fair. I get it. It's going to cost you, some delivery cost or whatever. Okay. That's fine. Tack it on to the price of the ships. And those people who want to come and buy one of these ships from the ship packs, they're going to pay extra because there was shipping involved and they'll know up front what that option is. And let me tell you something. When you tell a guy that's at Beagle Point, hey man, do you want to have this ship here that you can actually take to land on a high G world? And there happens to be one right over that way. Do you want to, whatever, because your little explorer ship is not going to get it done. That guy's going to go, hey man, this ship, if I go to buy this ship from Li Yong-Ru, this is only going to cost me 1 million credits. And you're trying to sell it to me for 2.5 million credits? That guy's not going to make the 400 jumps to get back to Li Yong-Ru space. He's going to go, yeah, fuck it, I'll buy it, whatever. It's a thing. When you go to Disney World, you buy the $4 soda, you buy the $8 hot dog because you're there and it's there and fuck it, I want it now. So I think the ability to have sort of deliveries come out to your fleet carrier, I think that option is good and should be considered. The second part where I put plus player interactions. What does that mean? Well, what that means is I think there could be missions generated on the mission board or some sort of mission place, some sort of a clearinghouse, some sort of a thing where players see, oh, hey, there's a request that just got put in for this. There's a fleet carrier that's 12,000 light years that way that needs a ton of fuel or that needs, ship packs for Cobras or for Anacondas or whatever. And then you can, retcon or not retcon, you can explain in lore that it's like, oh, well, I've got a T9 and it's got a massive amount of tonnage in storage space. It's got 700 tons in storage space. And packed up in that is an anaconda, or is a this, or is X percentage of Y fleet, or just a full ship pack. Fuck it, just for gameplay purposes. Let's say, yeah. But if it generated some form of a mission somewhere where an actual player flew it from A to B, and they generated a massive hit of income for themselves because they just took on a fairly perilous mission, that they're going to load up a big ass hauler ship and fly it all the way out to 20,000 light years away or 12,000 light years away. That could generate a massive payday. It could be some guy logs on one day and says, I've got nothing to do today. Ooh, there's a weird mission. Fuck it, let's fly out there. Let's make a massive profit. It's going to be my whole day, but it'll be a cool little adventure. This will be me, doing a thing. I think that could be cool. Now, when I say player interaction, here's to be clear. I mean, player interaction would be the primary goal, but it would have to have a backup of, if no player does it, there's an automated ship somewhere that does it. It's a little slower and it costs a little more, or it's a little slower and it costs a little less. I don't know. But obviously a player doing it would be faster, but you need to have a backup of, if no player does it, then whatever, then the ship does it.
So I had this thought too. What if you had, kind of switching gears, but what if you had the ability to say, I'm going to anchor my fleet carrier at Sag-A. So my fleet carrier is not anchored at Sag-A. So now, way back in Shinrarta, exploration missions spawn. I'm sorry, not exploration, but passenger missions spawn to fly out to Sag-A to take them to my fleet carrier. But once you do that, you're anchored in that spot for a month. You cannot jump your ship for a month or something. Just a time period to give people a chance to do the mission. I think that'd be kind of cool to where, and they could even go so far, not just passenger missions, but make it to where it's like commodities missions. Like, hey, take 50 articulation motors to frickin' Ty's fleet carrier out in Sag-A, and that way it would spawn up for just normal people. And if you're anchored there, and then you get a percentage of the mission and stuff, and say the mission reward is like 50 million or something, you get 5 off the top of doing that, and you're anchored there for a month. There's nothing to say that would be that's out of the realm of possibility. I think stuff like that would be so cool. I don't think we're going to get it. So again, this is not something I'm saying, hey, do this. This is just, think about this for the future. Right. All right. So, or, hey, Ty's fleet carrier out at Sag-A, he's got outfitting, and he's got the something pack that includes, a bunch of detailed surface scanners, or I don't know why you would go all the way out there with that one. They include extra, cargo, or they include a something, right? And oh shit, I had 30 of them. I just sold the 30th one. Now a player hops in a T9 loaded with, 200 tons of cargo space, or 800 tons of cargo space of whatever, fuel scoops or whatever the hell, whatever thing that you're selling. And then it says like, okay, go replace that. You custom ordered it, and a player flies out there and then just gets a massive payday for, like, it's just the idea. Now, yeah, the truth is, the reality is, are 90% of these orders going to be filled by the NPCs, by the background galaxy that just does it? Sure. Or maybe 95, or maybe 99. But the creation of the possibility for a player to choose to be that 1 or 5% to actually interact, I think is awesome. Agreed.
And it creates fun or different or weird things to do in the game that then people are like, holy shit, I for a sim game, the more simulation, the more complexity in how we interact with each other that you can provide, the more you win.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree.
All right. The next thing. This one is sort of the biggest of all of them, and I put it in the middle here because I wanted to build up to it. This one is not even this one is sort of, when I say what I would like you to consider going forward, this one almost made it to the do this before the June launch list. It's that close. It's that much. In fact, it might sort of get moved up, but this one is the big daddy of them all. There needs to be an alternative or an addition to the decommission system. And what I mean by that is the decommission system as it stands now, okay? It's not overly harsh in the sense of like, well, they lowered the upkeep cost, so it's much easier to deal with. And yep, they absolutely did. And that makes the decommission system much less of a threat. By fixing the one, you take out a lot of the threat of the other. But there are those people that will say, I play Elite Dangerous, a new thing came out, a new era came out. I play for 6 months and then I just bugger off for a year or two and wait for them to put out the next thing. And when they do, I come back and play for 6 months. Or there are those guys like you said before, Ty, like, hey, I'm getting shipped overseas, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, I've got, a newborn, I'm not going to play for a while. Or, hey, whatever. If you're in a situation where you're not going to be playing for a long time, I think the idea of upkeep and the argument that people have of like, man, you got to get rid of any upkeep, it's just punishment. It's just blah, blah, blah. They immediately go to the argument of, what if I don't even log in for 6 months or a year? You're charging me every week on that? My argument or my response to that would be like, hey, dude, that would be like saying, what if I buy, a house and I just don't even go to it for a year? Well, you're going to charge me, a mortgage every month? Yeah, asshole, because you bought a house. Don't buy a house if you're not going to go to it for a year. But this is a video game, and you do have to understand that there's going to be times where people, for personal reasons or for whatever, they say like, man, I'm taking a break from the game. I'm not going to be around. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be whatever. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see you could do this a couple of ways. You could either dry dock, or you could rent the fleet carrier. Now they both are exactly the same thing. And what does this mean? How do you do this? Well, you do this by saying, take your fleet carrier ship back to a administration zone or whatever. The what do you call that? The carrier administration system. Take your carrier there, empty out all the storage, empty out the carrier wallet into your wallet, hit some button somewhere that kicks all of the shit, your ships, your modules, other people's ships, other people's modules. It kicks everything off of the ship and into the dry dock area so that, just like when you decommission a ship, all of that stuff still exists and it can be pulled off. It's basically now people they can't land on your carrier anymore, but they can hit the button and have their stuff, their shit shipped to wherever they want, for whatever cost is appropriate or free or however they work that out. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you take your ship back to the dry dock area and you take those steps, I feel like you should have a button that says rent out this ship, or says dry dock this ship, or mothball this ship, or call it whatever you want. And what it does is you still get charged the full upkeep cost for that week until the tick. Once the tick occurs, that ship is sucked out of the game. It's not hanging out. It's not on their server as far as taking up all the space of being a fully functioning ship. It just get put into a zip file. It's marked somewhere. Okay, there's a ship. It had these services. They don't interact anymore. It gets shrunk down. We zip it. We put it away. And if you're gone for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, you get charged nothing for that because that ship is either A, dry dock, mothballed, whatever, or B, you could say in lore, like, oh, it got rented out. So that ship is now being flown by someone else, whatever. But a story, bullshit. It happened. Magical fairies, whatever. But you don't get charged when. So the idea of upkeep when you're actively playing the game, I don't think you with it changed now, with it lowered to where it is, I don't feel like you have a valid sort of argument to bitch about it.
Agreed.
The place where people feel they have a valid place to bitch, their stalking horse argument is, well, if I'm not active because I can't, because, I have to go, fight them damn fucking Yankees in the wall, okay, fine, whatever. It's fine. So take that argument away from them by saying, here is an alternative or an addition to the decommissioning process that sort of takes the teeth out of it, that says you could do this, and then a year from now you come back to the game because, hey, there's a new expansion, there's a new thing, we're going to get mechs, whatever. Okay, cool. So then you go back to that administration system where you dry docked it or rented it out, or exposition to follow. You click on the button to recall it, right? You pay some fee. It costs you 10 million credits. Just, I don't know, pick a number. Costs you 10 million credits, you pay that fee, and you recommission or unmothball or reinstate or whatever you want to call it, your ship. And that happens, whatever. It happens on the next tick, or if you want to pay a little extra, it happens right now, today, this second. Boom, there's your ship back. Now reload it with all your stuff and go on about your day. It takes away the excuse for the whiny babies who go like, but if I don't even play, take that excuse away. And more importantly, for your valued customers, like all joking aside and name calling aside, for your customers who feel like, man, this is the one thing that I feel sort of punishes me. It takes that away. And it's like, okay, we get it, man. Here, come back. Welcome back. We're going to give you, instead of a reason to bitch and moan and be unhappy that you lost something and now you're sour and you don't want to play the game, here you go. Welcome back with open arms. Have your fleet carrier back. You're getting charged now because you're using it. The idea of saying, well, don't make me pay for the fleet carrier if I don't log in. Well, what if other people are using your fleet carrier? That's a sort of, you can loophole the shit out of that of, I'm going to create an alt account, transfer money to it, buy a fleet carrier on my alt account, not log in, and I'm listed as a registered user because it's, whatever. I control through my alt, I set myself as a user, and now I've got a free fleet carrier. Like, no, nope. If it's out in the world being used, if it's taking up space on the server, fuck you. You pay for it, whether you use it or not. That's irrelevant. But this lets the good people who just have whatever experience going on say, I'm going to take it off the map. It's not a thing anymore. It's not charging. Frontier isn't paying anything for it. It's not whatever. And let me just keep my money. And I'll come back one day. And when I do, I'll play your game and I'll have my fleet carrier and I'll be happy.
So at first, I was actually one of the first few people who think that there should be some sort of suspend option because of the whole being away from a game for quite a while. But I've actually come around to the idea of fleet carriers are not for everybody. And if you sell your fleet carrier or decom or whatever the hell it's called for $5 billion, you're going to get, what's the total investment cost? Wasn't it 7 or 8 billion, something like that?
Well, it was way higher. It's much lower now based on them reducing it by 35 to 45%.
I want to say it's like 14 billion initially, but I think that
nowhere near that.
No, it was 14 billion.
Even there, no, it wasn't. It was like 7 billion. The 14 billion number that was being thrown around by the salty crowd was the 7 7.5 billion to buy it all, and then the additional 7 billion to pay the upkeep cost for a year at the massively inflated upkeep cost rates.
Okay, so
buying everything was like 7.5. Now it's going to be like 6.
Okay, so my initial memory of 7 billion was pretty close then. So okay,
sure.
So if you're going to pay, the fact of the matter, what I'm trying to get at is that fleet carriers just aren't for everybody. And if you are playing this game in a passive fashion like that, they're not for everybody. And at first I was very much for or pro a suspend option, but the more I think about it, my initial thought was like for servicemen or service people who spend a lot of time overseas. You brought up a very good point, is that, you were a Marine, for 10 years or something like that? You are a Marine, but you served in the Marine Corps.
I was active duty for 8 years, yeah.
8 years. I can't remember if it was 8 or 10 years. But anyway, so you were active duty for 8 years, and you yourself said that you weren't without internet for the vast majority of the time. At least, you might have had some snippets here and there. There are probably people who serve who do not have active internet 100% of the time. And there's probably people who serve who have internet a large portion of the time. All of this just to get around to say, I feel like there's plenty of opportunity to suspend services on your fleet carrier, lower the weekly upkeep, and get it manageable down to like, what is the minimum, 10 million, something like that a week?
No. Now, because they're cutting it in half. So now it's 5 million. So literally, you return all of the others, if you say, hey, I'm not going to be playing for the next year and a half because I'm, going to jail, then you could literally say, all of my services I sold back to the bank, and it's now my upkeep cost is 5 million. A year and a half at 5 million a week, you're talking about, let's do the math real quick. Let's just do this. Hold on. Okay, let's close this.
260 million. 52 weeks, 5 million, 260 million.
Yeah, so at a year and a half, so it's times 1.5, you're talking about, that cost you 390 million. Okay, if you bought something for 6 billion, number one, crime doesn't pay, kids. Listen to McGruff and fucking, I don't know, don't get caught robbing somebody. But 390 million. You can knock out 390 million in an hour and a half. You're going to have a much easier time. You're going to have a much easier time gathering that 390 million to pay off the whatever than you are trying to keep your anal virginity in prison for the year and a half. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see it as being a big deal. The anal virginity part's a big damn deal, but the other part is not such a big deal. So,
all right. So that was the thing, and then here's the next thing. This is a little thing, but for weird situations, just a completely fucking bizarre situation where your HOTAS goes nuts, or you get up to go get a beer and your 3-year-old comes over and starts hitting buttons, and the next thing you know, you open fire on your fleet carrier, with your laser lance mine, whatever. And your fleet carrier that is parked at Beagle Point goes, oh yeah, fuckface, let's do this shit, and blows you up, right? And now it sends you to the nearest prison colony because, you did some illegal shit with the whatever. Make your fleet carrier its own prison, i.e., if something illegal happens at your fleet carrier, if like your HOTAS screws up or your 3-year-old decides to go Allahu Akbar on your fleet carrier, You don't have to make 300 jumps to get back to it. You're just, okay, you're there. It's just do that. And it makes sense in lore too, because the only way that you're going to sort of, like, if you're, it doesn't really matter if you're in the bubble. If you're in the bubble and you do something stupid, or your kid does something stupid, or you're, you know, I don't know, you lose power and you know, for something weird happens and you engage in combat somehow with the fleet carrier unintentionally and you get blown up, the local cops are going to send you to the local jail and it's going to be 3 jumps away. That doesn't really matter that much. It matters a fuck lot more if you're at Beagle Point, because the nearest jail is nowhere in the neighborhood. It's the nearest jail at that point is Colonia. Like, not fun.
Yeah.
200 plus jumps, not fun. So yeah, make your fleet carrier its own prison ship for reasons.
I agree with you.
And then rank unlock glams. That's Michael, who was digging through my notes, or Matt, who was digging through my notes. Make rank unlock glams. Make it to where you need to be a full admiral or a king or whatever, but that will unlock. You can have a fleet carrier that has a special whoop-de-doo Federation, or, you know, whoop-de-doo Imperial, or whatever sort of motif that says to everyone, like, hey, look at me. I got a big dick with the Federation or with the Empire. That would be cool. Make it a thing.
I mean,
and the absolute last one, and this is just a little one, but I like the idea of having lots of NPCs flying around my ship in occupied space, in populated space. That's cool. I dig it. How when you and Trax were flying around, other people were, and you were like, who the hell is this Type 6 that's landing on my pad? Get the hell out of here, whatever. Like, I dig that in occupied space. It adds ambiance. Don't do that when I'm at Beagle Point. That just seems weird as fuck. Like, who are all these people? What the hell?
Agreed.
Like, so make it to where that even works when you're like a jump, like one jump, like within 100, like say within 100 light years of occupied space, maybe still you can have 1 or 2 people showing up and it's like, oh, that's weird. This guy's out here in the middle of nowhere. But once you get more than 100 light years from the bubble, please make sure that shit is turned off, because it's going to be super, super weird when I'm like, I want to role play as or immerse myself. Because the whole idea of having all of those NPCs is, oh, it's good for immersion. It's good for ambiance. Well, the ambiance of me being on the asshole end of the galaxy all by myself, and it's like day 800. I haven't seen another living soul. I'm exploring on the dark end of the galaxy. Oh, hey, get the fuck out of my way, dude. I'm trying to land. Like, that doesn't fit. So just, yeah. That is my full and exhaustive list of thoughts on fleet carriers. I bet you it lasted longer than you thought it was.
The one thing you're missing there is the ability to change your fleet carrier ID.
I wouldn't say I'm missing it.
But yeah. Yeah. Something else Matthew said here is give a reason that would give a good reason for Alliance rank, and he's 100% right.
Man,
that would be kind of cool. I'm all for that. I think it'd be cool to look like a giant chieftain. I'm all for that.
Well, just to be clear, I guess you could use it with like a ship kit or whatever. You could have a special Imperial model or whatever. I was thinking even more, even if they didn't want to do that, even if they didn't want to make it look like a Farragut, which if they made it look like a Farragut battle cruiser, you know, let's be honest, like I'm definitely getting that one, because it looks, that is the most awesome looking thing. That is just sex on toast. That is good stuff. But even if they weren't going to go whole hog and do that, if they just added like some special super duper Federation paint job or some super duper Federation, you know how they do those paint jobs, like how they have the Anaconda paint job where it's like all black, but it has special glowy stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Those ones where it's like neon fucking skeleton neon shit on the. What if they had some special one that was like, you know, super, super dark, but had special glowies, and those glowies were like Federation themed or Empire themed. Or there's other stuff you can do without having to go like all the way to this to the level of like, you know, putting in that, but like just whatever. I think it would be neat. I would be happy with that if they're gonna. Hey, I'm already a full admiral with the Federation and a full king with the Empire. So if they're gonna give me the option to have a Farragut battle cruiser, I'm taking it. But like even just other paint jobs and stuff would be good.
Yep, completely agree. That's. I think that's about all I got. You have anything else to kind of touch on here?
Drew Wagar Lore Tour is still going on. Go and check it out. I think you might want to announce a little something that was announced a little earlier today on a Frontier live stream.
Oh, can we actually talk about that? Oh, I guess it's on the live stream.
I mean, he announced it, so it's not a secret anymore.
Yeah. Well, we are going to have another wonderful, or we're going to have a chat with
they call him
Gambit.
Bruce.
Yeah, Gambit, the Bruce, God, what's his last name right now?
Bruce Garrido.
Garrido, thank you. Bruce Garrido, the new community manager, going to get to talk with him a week from Sunday. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. He actually, he messaged me and was like, hey, man, when am I going to get to be on the show? And I was like, yeah, bro, for sure. This weekend we're booked. We got a thing. But what about next weekend? And he was like, that sounds awesome. And then I was like, let's do it Saturday. And then you weren't available Saturday. And I was like, hey, what about Sunday? He's like, I'm available for you. And I was like, I dig your vibe, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really cool. I mean, that's really cool. The other thing is, of course, this Sunday, we're doing the round table with, I just hit the mic like an idiot. We're doing the round table with Burr Pitt, Alec Turner, Wotherspoon, Down to Earth Astronomy, and Commander Plater. Again, that is 3 p.m. UTC. So check your time zones. And if you're in Texas, God, someone tell me what time I need to be there.
10 a.m. It's 11 a.m. for me, which means it's 10 a.m. for you.
Gotcha. I'm so glad someone can do math. I cannot do math. Math is hard. So, but
your mic was cutting out just a little bit there. I just want to make sure we make it clear for everyone. The people involved, I don't think you included the Burr Pitt. This is the Burr Pitt, Commander Plater, Down to Earth Astronomy, us, Alec Turner, and Wotherspoon of Galnet News Digest Radio. Alec Turner, he of the Buckyball Race Club fame, and also of Alec Turner's Best of the Forums. These are. It's going to be a full crew, and I think sort of when we put this together, like the focus or the thought process was just like, there's so much salt. Let's have a discussion of the people who are, I feel like, this isn't a nut hugger situation. This is not a white knight situation. This is not a group of people that all say Frontier has never done anything wrong. You and I both had plenty of critique for fleet carriers last week, as did Trax. Wotherspoon has just roasted the fuck out of them so many times. It's hilarious. And everyone else too, including us. It's hilarious. Alec Turner has not been shy at all about his, feelings. And I think Alec Turner is still not at this moment planning on sort of buying a fleet carrier, at least not right up front. He has a different level of gameplay. And you know what I mean? That's beautiful. This is a thing. Not everyone should buy a fleet carrier. This is a thing that it should be for some, not for all, but its purpose or its being in the galaxy will make the entire tapestry of Elite Dangerous more rich. It will make it, just the fact that it exists will allow for more interactions. Down to Earth Astronomy has been very critical of specific mechanisms while always maintaining a very positive and constructive attitude. So Down to Earth Astronomy is the fucking, he is the sort of engineer of the group of, as far as he will pull apart anything and tell you, like, this works great, this could be better, this could be better like this could be better like that, this over here is awesome, this is garbage. We hope they look into it and make changes. Like he just breaks it all down. And Plater has been very even keeled. He has had he has been on the other round table and is going to be on the other round table again on Friday when they're doing another whatever. And I feel like Plater's a soldier, man. Plater has been my guy who has been like, hey, I don't like this, this, and this. You're absolutely right. But I think they can fix that. And he's the guy in the room who is sort of the voice of reason as far as I'm concerned. He is making the arguments. He's not just giving Frontier a blank check. When they screw up, he calls it. He says, hey, this is not right. But when they fix it or when they do good things, he says, hey, this is awesome or whatever. He's very, very even keel. And then you've got Burr. And Burr is my man crush. Burr is just awesome dude. Just
now, hold on a minute. I thought we had to divide it up. You can have Rini, I can have Burr. I mean, come on.
I mean, all right. It's a done. Sold. Done deal. But but go back and look at Burr's put out so much content in the last week. And he's been like, this is bad. I think they should fix it. And I fully expect that they will. This is awesome. But none of I've literally run through every person here. I challenge anyone to go and find any of these people putting out content that is just 100% blindly in line with, whatever Frontier puts out. No. Every last one of us have had harsh and specific and directed critiques of certain aspects of certain functions of fleet carriers as the product has rolled out. But we have all maintained level-headed sort of, constructive criticism as opposed to just throwing salt and lighting people on fire and whatever. So, yeah, I really wanted to say that it's important that I think that gets sort of this is a low sodium roundtable. This is not a cult of we follow whatever the great Braben says. No, man, you're going to hear critiques. You're going to hear people in this that have ideas of man, this should be changed like this, I think, or whatever, but done in a respectful way. And I think that's a good thing.
Totally agree. So one other little piece of news is I read today that the insane Hutton truckers have completed Operation Hot Mess. And there is a mug on every single station in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the hell they did it, but respect to them for doing that.
Well, they basically did it a week ago. There was just 3 or 4 systems that what they had to do was they literally was this system is in infrastructure failure, or this system is in lockdown for this reason or that reason. They had to literally go and fix those 3. I think it was 3 systems, which they got all 3 of them fixed and then got them delivered. So they really finished this. So it's important to note because their goal was to finish it before ECM, and they did. They finished it before ECM. They just had to play with the background, the BGS, to fix a couple 3 system states so that they could get them. And they did. Congrats. Big ups.
But I think that's actually going to wrap us up for the evening, guys.
Yeah, man. Coming up after this, those listening in on the feed, And for those interested in finding it, you can just go to YouTube and check out Elite Week. This week's Elite Week was the last sort of special for a little while. It's going to be now going back to next week will be a regular Elite Week, but this week it was a detailed discussion of sort of the most unpopular thing that I could think to do, because I feel like when something is right and you feel that it's right, or wrong and you feel that it's wrong, it doesn't matter what the rest of the world says. You have to stand up and speak with the courage of your convictions and say, hey, I feel this about this and here's why. And hopefully you can make people think about it and reevaluate it. So it was me and Ben Moss Woodward, Commander Edelweiss of Lave Radio, having a discussion where I explained to him, or where I explained my feelings on why upkeep costs are a good thing. Not unreasonable upkeep costs, but some upkeep cost is a good thing. So I fully expect to get tons of hate on it, and that's okay, because I'm subscribing to the Captain America idea of when you feel a thing is right, you just square your shoulders, lock your fucking feet in place, and tell the rest of the world, no, you move.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to bring us to the end. You can always reach us at loosescrewsed.com. There's a contact page there. You can find YouTube. Speaking of which, I need to put the freaking Elite Week link on our website. I keep forgetting to do that. Remind me to do that, man. Remember to do that like Sunday before I have time to sit down and do it. Okay.
Sure.
And I'm sorry I keep forgetting that. That's asshole of me, and I apologize. So
that's all good.
Everybody in the chat tonight, thank you for joining us. Everybody
except
who is
for
listening,
Matthew. I've got my eye on you still, Matthew.
I don't like that guy. I'm kidding. Now we'll where was I? Oh, everybody at home listening, thank you for listening, of course. FYI, on the Epic Store, Just Cause 4 is free to download right now. If you have never played any of the Just Cause series, they are insane. Please go play them. They're fun. If you missed the sale this week where you get full ship kits in the store, I apologize for not announcing it. I didn't know about it until it happened, but it was on Easter, and it snuck up on me and I think a few others. So I hope you guys saw the sale, got stuff that you wanted. And if you didn't, well, just wait around. It'll be back on sale. Mm-hmm. I am on Twitter. I am at Tyrvol, Tyrvol. Kai is at Kai. I can't remember your numbers, man.
KAI 19103 on Twitter. And most importantly, so at KAI 19103, I'm just starting to get active with Twitter, so whatever. But most importantly, join the Discord.
Yep. I think is it tinyurl.com/loose
screws ed.
Loose Screws ED. God, dog, my brain is dead. I'm done. I'm tired. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much, and we'll go from there, y'all. Thank y'all.
Right on.